Sleep is a funny part of life. It's something that we all love, we all want more of, and yet as we age, it can tend to become, or quality sleep in any way, tends to become a little bit more elusive. It tends to become a little bit harder to find, and some of those sleep issues that we might have had for a long time tend to get worse over time. And not only that, but despite loving sleep and wanting more of it, more often than not, we're not really putting the priority on making the time or creating the environment in order for us to sleep really, really well. And priority is the word that I want you to take away from today, because great sleep is more than just a luxury. Great sleep actually is a necessity, and it does require us putting some priority onto the things that allow us to create really, really great sleep rhythms. So what I want to do today, I want to take you through 3 key kind of foundational environmental factors that we can bring some priority to, bring some intention to, that can improve the quality of our sleep, improve our ability to sleep really well, and reduce the cost of sleep debt. Because this is one of the things with sleep, and I think it's probably my biggest concern with sleep and why we don't put enough emphasis on, is that the cost of poor sleep is quite deferred from the actual event of sleep, right? So you wake up in the morning, you've had a bad night's sleep, you feel a little bit average, but you don't really notice the actual long-term cost of that because it accumulates over time. So the cost of sleep, which, if you look into the research and you look into sleep deprivation studies and stuff, is huge. There's a greater obesity risk, diabetes risk, hypertension risk, anxiety and depression, poor immune function, cognitive decline, and even all-cause mortality risk increases with poor sleep. So being able to kind of realize that our habits now dictate what happens in the future allows us to really take the time, make the effort to bring some priority back to these 3 things. So let's go through these 3 things. Some of them you might know, some of them might be new for you. The first one is light exposure, and the reason I really like to focus on light exposure is, one, it is the strongest impactor on our circadian rhythm out of all of the different environmental components. Our eyes receive light into our brain and they send direct messages to tell us what time of day it is and what our brain needs to be doing in response to that, as far as producing the hormones that allow us to sleep, like melatonin and all those sorts of things. So light exposure is really, really key. But the trouble is, in modern life, our light exposure is a little bit upside down. When we get up in the morning, the first thing we might see is probably artificial light, like a screen or lights inside our house. We might even put sunglasses on the way to work. We might not get that real direct sunlight exposure that we should have. And what we've got to realize is that morning sunlight exposure is more blue light, which is really important for us. It tells our brain it's the morning, but also sunlight versus unnatural light, like office lighting here in my room, completely different intensity, orders of magnitude difference in intensity. So sitting in this, which feels light, compared to sitting outside, even on a cloudy day, is a different message to the brain. And so in the morning, often we're not getting that really good, true sunlight exposure. And then at the other end of the day, we're sitting under lights all the time when, it might have been dark for hours. Our brain was looking for that message of the dimming of lights, the changing of the light spectrum, but we're not getting it because we're sitting under bright lights or looking at blue screens, etc. So our light exposure has really, really changed, and our body's not adapted to that. So we want to be able to make sure we can bring in some things that allow our body to kind of regulate our circadian rhythm a bit more. This could look like 2 things. One, first thing in the morning, get outside even just for 10 minutes and get some natural light exposure. Avoid wearing your sunglasses first thing in the morning, and in the evening, dim overhead lights. So, and maybe look at blue blocker glasses or putting nighttime mode on your screens or getting off screens altogether, but do what you can to manage the light exposure so it's more like what we would naturally be exposed to, which is that intense blue light in the morning and then a dimming of light into the evening, especially overhead lights where that light is coming down into our eyes and sending those messages to our brain. The next one is hydration, and I think this is a really, really interesting one because by far probably one of the biggest, most common sleep disruptions that I see for the clients that we work with is waking up at night needing to go to the toilet. And often people think, well, my sleep's disrupted because I need to pee. And so because they don't want to pee at night, they don't drink so much through the day. what's really going on here is that need to pee at night is because you're not getting into quality sleep. When our body is in deep quality sleep, we release a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, and it stops us needing to go to the bathroom. So that is why you can go through a whole night without needing to go to the bathroom, and why needing to pee is a sign that you actually haven't been in deep quality sleep. It's not about hydration at all. And here's the kicker. Good quality sleep requires that your body is hydrated. So more often than not, when people are waking to go to the toilet at night, they reduce their water intake in the afternoon and evening in a bid to fix it. It doesn't really work for most of them, and it actually may make the problem worse, because if you're going to sleep dehydrated, your body is not able to cool itself well, it's not able to regulate your blood sugar as well, it's not able to do all the things that it needs to do to allow you to wind down into a deeper quality of sleep. So if you really want to prioritize your sleep, and you've already looked at kind of light exposures, the next thing to look at is hydration, and making sure that it's not just drinking a ton of water before bed, but through the day, have you really hydrated your body well? And often it's more than just drinking water, but it's looking at electrolytes as well. So, and this is what I say, great sleep doesn't come from what we do at bedtime, it comes from all the things that we've done prior to bedtime as well. It's additive and cumulative over the day, and that's why sleep can be a tricky one to deal with, but it's also very, very rewarding when you start to build all these foundational pieces into place, which is what we do with all of our clients in the Body Reset program. And we see really good results with sleep, with people being able to actually sleep through the night where they may never have been able to before, which is very cool, because that's life-changing, right? Sleep's so important when you don't get it. The third focus is on temperature. Now, this is where we see how all of these things integrate. So in order to fall asleep, your core body temperature has to reduce a very small amount. And part of that reduction is a natural process that occurs due to circadian rhythm. So as our circadian rhythm knows that is coming into night, we get this cooling down internal body temperature. However, if your circadian rhythm is muddled up because of sunlight exposure or light exposure, etc., you might not get that natural kind of wind down and cooling effect, which is really, really needed to be able to fall into good quality sleep. The other part is if we're exercising late or eating late, or perhaps really, really wound up and doing a lot of activity, etc., there's a lot of things going against your body's ability to naturally cool down, right? So we need to be looking at all of the things that lead up to that bedtime point, and then also looking at how's your room? Is it stuffy? Is it too hot? Are your blankets, natural fibers and breathable, or are they a lot of synthetic stuff which makes it harder to regulate your body temperature? And then what are you doing before bed? Bizarrely, a warm shower can be a great thing to help cool your internal temperature down, because when you have a warm shower, not only is it quite relaxing for your body, which is really important, but it brings blood to the surface of your skin, and when that happens, you can offload a lot of core body temperature, and it actually cools your internal temperature down. So don't go having cold showers or anything like that to cool down before bed. A warm shower is by far the better option, and it's going to help you cool down, help you get into that deeper quality of sleep. And the other part there is it comes back to hydration as well, because if you're not well hydrated, your body's going to find it much harder to move that blood around and allow you to cool down and cool your tissues down efficiently. So you can see how all of these things are very much interlinked. There's not a magic pill as such. There's a lot of different things that can help, and like magnesium, certain herbs and stuff can be helpful. And electrolytes actually can be quite useful as well. There's a bunch of different things that can be useful, but there's no magic pill, because there's not one thing apart from perhaps a hammer to the head that's going to actually make us go to sleep. So it's about building up all of the layers and addressing all of those things. And I want to bring it back to that priority piece, because I think a lot of us know that we don't sleep well, but it's really easy to stay on a screen too late into the night when we shouldn't. It's really easy to take those last meals of the night too late into the evening, so our body's digesting and churning out a lot of metabolic heat at that time of night. It's really easy in the heat of the moment to not do the thing that it's going to allow us to sleep, and then we're sacrificing so much, even though we might not feel it in the short term. So I think it really does require us connecting to the long-term goal, and then thinking back on how am I going to prioritize this now, because it truly is important. Like all things in health, they can feel like a little bit of an uphill habit, but the payback is so much, and it is so worth it. So sleep's something that we work on with all of our clients, especially the ones that need that, and it's really about building those routines and those rhythms and whatnot into your day to allow you to have quality sleep. If you want to know a little bit more about what we do with our clients, we have a sleep guide which you can access. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll be linked below, and if you are watching this on Facebook, you can comment sleep below and we can send that out to you, and it's just going to give you a little bit more information, a bit more actionable steps that you can actually look at to start assessing where's your sleep at, what's the first thing I can work on, where's an area I can bring priority to now, and just know that poor sleep habits usually build up over years, and turning those around can take a little bit of time and a little bit of consistency. Doing all the right stuff today isn't magically going to result in a better sleep tonight, though I hope for your sake that it does, but it might require coming back and just repeating those habits over time and allowing your body to settle back into that routine of falling asleep well. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you later.